Kendrick does it again, along with SZA. The music video tells a thought-provoking story that really keeps you guessing. It has layered visuals, symbolism that demand us to unpack it. It's shot primarily in monochrome, black and white, punctuated by moments of color, each evoking a distinct emotional shift. The mood is dark and reflective, with silhouetted figures framed against geometric shapes and sharp perpendicular lines that often cut across the characters. Their body language is expressive throughout the video, capturing both isolation and a yearning for freedom. The visual contrast, right? So we see circles and rigid geometric forms. This contrast is especially striking, and to me, it's no accident, it's intentional. Circles often symbolize wholeness, divinity, softness, eternity, right? Because it's an endless loop. But perpendicular lines and structured shapes, on the other hand, they evoke confinement, control, and fragmentation, as we see throughout the video. But together, they paint a picture of inner conflict, inner turmoil, the chaos that lives inside of infinite love, the push and pull between loyalty and temptation. It's not just a love story, it's a battle for identity, personal freedom, and true love. A delicate balancing act between order and chaos, between who we are and who we are trying to be. Now, here's the part that goes unnoticed in this video, which is film noir. I hope I'm saying that right. And shout out to Karina Evans for her stunning cinematography in this. What she pulls off visually is nothing short of masterful. The music video channels the essence of film noir, and film noir is a cinematic style that emerged in the 40s and 50s. And I hope people see this because film noir has a monochrome palette. It has the use of harsh shadows and silhouettes. It has the geometric framing and the overall mood of suspicion and tension. Noir isn't just about crime, which generally is about crime, but it's also about the gray areas involving morality, the emotional weight of guilt, and the blurred lines between right and wrong. And that's important to point out because the music video is using film noir, and that is going to lead us into the plot and the narrative. Traditionally, film noir features harsh, low-key lighting, flawed protagonists, and often unhappy or unresolved endings. So characters in those films are rarely pure. They're caught in webs of betrayal, temptation, and inner conflict. That's what I think is happening in this Luther video with Kendrick and SZA. So those noir elements, they suggest that something deeper and darker is unfolding, whether it's betrayal, disloyalty, moral collapse, or a literal crime of passion. The visuals hint that love and violence may be intertwined. Taking the scene where Kendrick waves and fires next to the car that is covered in red, is that literal or is it symbolic? Is it a flashback? Is it a metaphor? So in true noir fashion, the answer, it might not be clear. So we're all going to debate this, but the unease is very real. And this is exactly what's being depicted in this video. The body language, right? We always see Kendrick serious, down, sad. He's always looking away. He's always not making direct not all the time, but often not making direct contact with his love interest. And then we also see SZA, who is also kind of the opposite of Kendrick. She's more free, she's more demanding, she bangs on the door, she takes off her jacket, she's moving her body when she sits on the pew very freely. So it's almost this contrast between this inner turmoil, this deep feeling of guilt, contrasted against SZA's more free spirit. The first shot and the last shot of this music video really tell the whole story. The first shot, to me, says it all. It starts from blurry and the camera focuses to clear, right? So we have blurriness, meaning dissonance behind that clarity. There is something wrong. And we see it in their facial expressions. Just look at those expressions, the way they're looking at each other. It says everything. And I love that this can be depicted in just the eyes and just the face. People say that this isn't a deep song. I think it's just a love song. No. Y'all got to look at the expressions. Pain, anguish, and inner turmoil is right in their looks, especially hers and also Kendrick's. That's up to you to decide how much trouble is going on. Deep turmoil, love triangles, or even a crime of passion is how I take this video. Her facial expression, Anastasia, is unbelievable, right? She looks at him but then pulls back and the cut of the eyes against him. And she does this often in the video. It's truly stunning. Look at Kendrick's hat. It says Los Angeles 2024. 2024 was the year of the rap battle. Who knows if Kendrick is being this petty, but he might be. Then you see a quick shot of the word Luther. And as I described in my lyrical breakdown, Luther is not just Luther Vandross's name. It's also Martin Luther, a monk who rebelled against current ideas, religious ideas of his time in the 16th century. So maybe this Luther is him, this rebellious person that is trying to make sense of his love and his loyalty. Then we have Kendrick sitting right on that pew. Where is this? That's what I ask everyone. Where are they? Let's think about that. Are they in the church? Are they in a hospital? Are they in a police station? Are they at a courthouse? Where do we see pews and those walls and those ceiling lights? We all could be right. We also all could be wrong. I lean towards a hospital or police station. And people mention the Canadian tuxedo reference, which is another petty way for Kendrick to keep us guessing and get back at Drake. The hat backwards is more casual and meaning he's caught at the moment of vulnerability. And what seems like a blue hat, and the pew is also blue, that could depict sadness against the walls and the harsh lights. Something went wrong. He was caught. Something happened. And of course, later in the video, we see SZA, as the camera pulls back, also sitting on the other pew. He starts with Roman numeral 7 Bay, drop it like it's hot, right here, which is why I feel it's an ode to the character of who plays SZA, because it's like he's saying, you are my true Roman numeral 7 Bay. You, SZA, but you are on the other side. There's still something pulling them apart. The actors are interesting. The actors in this is Anastasia Anuke. I hope I'm not butchering that last name. She's a Nigerian-American musician and model. And the man who plays SZA's love interest is Jerron McKinley, who I've heard is from Compton. And if you go to his Instagram, he doesn't have much going on, but he has a lot of pictures of him and his son, which is interesting. So these two models play the roles. I think they're both amazing, but particularly Anastasia, because we get close-ups of her facial expression, is truly phenomenal. Truly phenomenal. The locations we have in this video are the Westin Bonaventure Hotel, which has amazing architecture, and the Brandis Barden campus of American Jewish University in Simi Valley in Cali. Both of these places have tremendous architecture. Again, when we get to the hotel and this depiction of film noir, you see Kendrick and his love interest together, but they're sitting separate and far from each other. And you see the angles and the perpendicular lines that depict turmoil and conflict. Are they together? Are they lovers? Are they broken apart? What's happening? Why are they not sitting together? Why are they sitting against this wild environment of all these perpendicular shapes and lines clashing against each other? Now we get to the hotel penthouse room. To me, this is really the depiction of this crime scene or this revelation that is about to happen. So in this room, we see lights from above coming from the recessed lighting. Could that mean it looks very divine? It looks godly, heaven-like. So it's maybe divine judgment coming down on them. We see this piece towards the left, which is it a chess piece? It kind of resembles African tribal art, maybe symbols of femininity, and you still have that circle and square and the triangle. But ultimately, this room feels very supernatural. It's almost an out-of-body experience, like a calm before the storm. And they're also, again, not sitting together. They're kind of angled apart from each other. So it almost feels like there's about to be this internal combustion and something is about to be revealed. Is it destiny leading to this crime of passion? Or is he going to admit that he loves someone else? And when that door opens, we see that car wrapped in red. So you have that red, the contrast against the blue hat he was wearing, but the red of fire, of fury, of burning passion, of maybe crime. And this is where I see potentially a crime of passion has occurred here, because then we see Kendrick shooting, waving it around. Is this symbolic? Is it imagined? Is this metaphorical? Or is he really shooting? All of them could be right. We don't have to eliminate any of these ideas, right? People just are caught up in this. This is all symbolism. We have to throw everything against the wall and see what's going to stick here. We're analyzing the beauty of this cinematography and this narrative. Here is where I see the crime of passion. If it's real, my question is, who does he shoot? Her, meaning the woman, Anastasia with the braids right there. Maybe he gets rid of her in order to vow his love to SZA. Or does he get rid of SZA's love interest? Maybe they set Jerron up together and then they're caught at the end when they're sitting at that pew. Again, all reaches, but all just trying to figure out what the narrative is. Now, if it's metaphorical, maybe just him waving that around and shooting and things like that, maybe it's just a metaphorical, symbolic, just it's something to resemble the final confession that he's in love with someone else. Maybe he's not being loyal. Maybe he's truly in love with his character and he's letting her know, Anastasia, I messed up. I did wrong. Then we have SZA coming out in that hotel hallway. The way she busts out, and some people may not realize, she comes out of a room called number 13, right? It's labeled number 13. Again, we are just deeply analyzing. The number 13 generally has this superstition involved. Not always, right? But it's part of the historic fabric of that number. Some see it as an unlucky number, or it can be also seen as powerful. Who knows? But sometimes a bad omen, 13, right? Friday the 13th. Judas. Maybe he's seen as the 13th person. Again, I'm reaching, but the Last Supper, that there were the 12 disciples. And maybe Judas being amongst them was that 13th person who ended up betraying Jesus. Now, you have to decide which of this is true. And instead of going into the room 7, right, it goes 10, 8, 6. They skip over the number 7 and she enters the number 6. Now, 7, remember, he started the song with Roman numeral 7, babe, drop it like it's hot, for which, we see the number 7 as generally a lucky number or a symbol of perfection culturally and throughout ancient history. And he calls her Roman numeral 7, babe, right? This formal beauty. But she skips that and instead goes to room 6. Maybe this could be suggesting she isn't that perfect form of beauty that Kendrick thinks she is. She also has flaws, which is okay. She goes into room 6 where the guy is and she bangs on that door. Side note, we can't skip the fact that Kendrick called Drake the 69 God, and that 666 can also be seen as a devil's number. All side plays, who knows? Is it Kendrick's pettiness coming along? Who knows? Now, some people suggest, could she be promiscuous and being promiscuous in a way that's illegal? Who knows? I mean, it doesn't just because a woman is dressed in the way that she wants to dress, perhaps revealing, doesn't mean she's all of a sudden doing something, promiscuous illegally, which I just don't want to mention in my video. But some people have suggested that that is a possible thing going on, which could lean into the idea that she's also committing some sort of crime here. The way Jerron stands there, a silhouette, monochrome, isolated, it almost feels like purgatory, like he's stuck in this room. Also, I think people are also not seeing the side of Jerron, right? We're seeing Kendrick's side, we're seeing SZA's side, we're definitely seeing Anastasia's side, but we're skipping Jerron in that room. What about him? What does he feel? What is he going through? It's like he's sitting in that room waiting for SZA, who also is probably Kendrick's true love in this film. But she's just seeing him as a side piece. But he's there stuck in that room waiting for her to vow her true love, but I don't think she gives it to him. So again, it's the calm before the storm. Is he a ghost? Maybe when Kendrick waved the weapon, maybe he got rid of Jerron. Again, just a narrative, who knows? Is he stuck here because he's so pulled by SZA's attraction? Then we see Kendrick sitting at the stairs, at the bottom part of the stairs. We see Kendrick and Anastasia. They're always distant from each other for the most part, but you could see a shadow of braids moving, right? So that's how we know it's Anastasia. But again, they're not sitting together. She's always apart from him. And you see them go up and down in the hotel using the hotel elevator, right? Up, down, revealing that there's this tumultuous relationship, right? They're up and down like a roller coaster, just symbolic. Also them going up to be loving with each other, or going down when they're revealing dark secrets. Also, Jerron and SZA, if you look at them, they also back out of the room and inside the room. They're also mostly not together. Sometimes they're being affectionate, but a lot of the time they're distant. You see Jerron sitting in the back like, why are you leaving me like this? So there's that symbol again of affection and intimacy, but also distance and dissonance. Then they show us the pull away shot of where Kendrick was sitting. You pull away and now you see SZA. But again, they're not close. They're distant. Another amazing form of symbolism here. Did they both commit crimes together, or did they commit them separately? Who knows? It all depends on your perception of where the love triangle lies. We have Kendrick and Anastasia, SZA and Jerron, and then perhaps we have Kendrick and SZA, that there's their love triangle, because we see them later get together, and we'll talk about in a second. Now, did he shoot someone? Did she get caught for assisting in something or doing some other crime? Was she part of the crime with Kendrick? Was the crime separate? I don't know, but some feeling that a crime of passion occurred to me, that they both ultimately are guilty of something because of their body language and the way they sit. Something went wrong. Then we get to me, the best shot of the entire music video, and it involves Kendrick and Anastasia. When she comes down that elevator into the hotel lobby, shout out to Karina Evans for unbelievable cinematography here. Her look, the cut of the eyes, she comes down and they position Kendrick right alongside her face as she's about to turn around, and the study and the glance down that she has of him, and then she looks him up and down, and then Kendrick looks at her. Quickly he looks down, and then he quickly looks away. Something is wrong. He can't face her. What did he do? What did he vow? What crime did he commit? Whether it's symbolic or real, what disloyalty was he involved with, right? That's what we have to be guessing. But that look, when your significant other gives you that look, you are down in the dumps. You don't know if you're ever going to fix that situation. Then we have, obviously, as we mentioned before, color. We have monochrome representing, to me, here's a theory that perhaps monochrome, when it's black and white, represents the dark sides of things. What's actually happening deep down in the pits, deep down in the heart, the anger, the sadness, the disloyalty, the crimes of passion, the moral ambiguity. And then the color represents what could be, what we imagine, when we're trying to do the right thing, but we can't fully get there. Then we have this film Iris, and we see this several times. One time we see it pop out and pop in, right? And this is a very common symbol in film, iris of the camera opening up and closing. To me, this is symbolic of drawing attention on the subject, right? Depicting isolation. And when this symbol is used throughout the video, I think maybe about 3 times, it always comes out during these dark moments. It happens when SZA and Kendrick meet for the first time in that shady part of the campus. It also happens when Kendrick is on the stairs, distant from Anastasia. So it's always this, like, I'm watching you, like something is going wrong with y'all, and I can see right through you. And I love it because it puts out that idea that when you're trying to hide to do something wrong, you will still be seen, whether that's by God, whether that if you believe in God, but also by just the world, that whatever you hide eventually comes out. And here we are watching their deep, dark secrets through this video. Then we see SZA. She meets Kendrick for the first time, but the way they show her, she's up against that wall, right? When you're up against that wall, it's like, you're wrong. Your back is against the wall, as people say. I'm wrong. I did something wrong. I'm in trouble. She's there. They put her against those geometric perpendicular shapes. And you can see this a lot in film noir, that they make these positions very intentional. These geometric shapes, they're cutting her. The window of the car window is going through her body, and she also has a change of outfit, different hair. She's wearing something a little more casual, quote unquote, depicting potentially something dark. Maybe she did something wrong, whether it's by myself or she did it with Kendrick. And here they are meeting in secret, obviously. And you see behind her a doorway, half open and half closed. Darkness behind that door. We are stuck in 2 worlds, love and conflict, loyalty and disloyalty. Which one are we going to vow? Which one can we be a part of? And you see her smoking. Now, smoking, as I feel in film, is always reminiscent of film noir scenes or someone who doesn't care. Kendrick in the car, you see her reflection in the window, right? And I love that they show her not fully there in the scene, but a reflection. They don't never show them together, except that she's reflected. Perhaps that he still has his mind on her, but she's not fully there with him always. You see him on the phone with his other love, perhaps. Maybe just about to meet his side piece. And you never see them even ever together, except here and alongside those pews, but never fully touching. You don't see him connected with his love, and you don't fully see him connect with the woman that he's actually trying to potentially maybe cheat with. So to me, this really depicts distance and closeness. Right? This whole music video, it truly brings out the distance and proximity. It contrasts them together, but ultimately you always see some sort of social isolation. The characters, the lovers, are never fully there. Now, you do see once or twice. Once or twice you see Kendrick and Anastasia, embrace and come close. You see SZA and Jerron embrace, but for the most part, they're separate, they're distant. They're cutting each other with the eyes. Even when they're sitting alongside the pews, the film director doesn't bring Kendrick and SZA close back together. After it's all said and done, you would think they would come back together. One of the most beautiful scenes when Anastasia is laying on Kendrick's thighs up in that hotel penthouse. They barely touch. Kendrick's facial expression is looking down still feels like he's thinking of something else. And she rubs her stomach. It could be just playful, like she's just touching her own body just to bring some love and intimacy to herself because the character who's playing Kendrick is not giving it to her. Or also maybe it's symbolic of she got pregnant. You know, maybe there's a baby on the way. Again, maybe a reach, but we're just looking at everything against the wall that we could possibly pull. SZA, she dances also, leaving Jerron bench, lonely on that chair. You see her dancing through the silhouette, this beautiful freedom of expression, like she just wants to be her, while Jerron sits looking isolated with his body language. Now, Anastasia, when we go back also to that diner at one of the ending scenes, and you see Anastasia looking at Kendrick, and if you notice a very subtle thing that she does with her hands, she doesn't go grab his hands. First, she moves her hands closer and then she opens her hands, hoping that he would connect with her, seeing that she would embrace her first. And so they do touch very ever so slightly. And then she looks up at him, but she still looks sad, as if he is about to admit something is wrong. She just can never get connected with him. And Kendrick, you see him towards the end. He's also sitting, cut by the window frames, depicting rebellion, isolation, confinedness, inner conflict, right? That's what all these geometric shapes and perpendicular lines represent. What I love is one of the ending shots, when he's sitting on the pew, he looks up at the camera finally and looks directly, almost like he's looking directly into your soul, but almost like he's looking directly into his own soul after doing all the immoral things. He's seeking redemption. I made a mistake. Something's not right. And hopefully I can make it better. That's what I see in those eyes, in that facial expression. But the last shot says it all. It ties back into the first shot, which is Kendrick and Anastasia looking at each other but being distant. And the shot ends with Kendrick trying to sort of embrace her, but she looks up and away, being, I know what's going on here. That shot reinforces the dissonance, the distance, and that inner conflict. What an amazing music video.